morning, everyone. It's a very bright Sunday morning, and thank you for joining us today. And today's topic is very interesting. And before I kind of talk about the topic, I would like to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Ume Kulsum, and Shreya, just a voice check. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sure, thank you. I'm Ume Kulsum, and I am an enterprise agile coach and working for a bank. I have been playing multiple roles like Scrum Master, Agile Consultant, Agile Coach, and I have also been helping the organizations with the Agile transformation. So, and I am also a speaker in national and international conferences. I also, I'm part of multiple Agile communities. So that's it about me. And then we will talk about today's session. So today's session is very interesting. In fact, I'm a little jealous about today's sessions because when I was a Scrum Master, I had so many questions regarding how do I get to the next level of the Scrum Mastery? Who can help me? What are the skills that I need to possess? What are certain things that I need to possess in order to get to the next level? So I think all these questions are being answered in today's session. So you guys are really lucky to attend the session. And if anyone or the Scrum Masters, I think they can really take advantage of this session. So the session is all about knowing your journey from Scrum Master to the Agile Coach. Having said that, I would like to hand it over to Apsar. Apsar is our speaker today. So Apsar, over to you.
Thank you, Kulsum. And very excited to be here. Thanks to Agile Network India for this opportunity to speak here. And thank you all of you for taking time this morning to come together, move the world forward with this continuous learning process, even when the situations around us are not ideal or rather challenging, I must say. So let's just begin. I'll share my screen. Right. So a little bit about me. I've been in the industry, in the digital industry from the past 10 years and involved in agile and digital transformation ventures in digital payment, mobility, smart city applications, academics, and a few more across different parts of the world, including Bahrain, UAE, Singapore, Malaysia. I'm fortunate enough to be able to transform 20 teams till date into agile ways of working, with 10 in the past year only when the pandemic forced remote working across the globe. I hold a master's degree in project management, a bachelor's degree in software engineering, and a few specializations and certifications in agile and digital transformation domain. My career evolution goes like this. I started my career as a programmer and evolved as a scrum master to an agile coach until my current role, where I'm heading the digital transformation program at Infinitium Group of Companies, which is a pioneer in digital payment across the Asian region. On a personal note, when I'm not helping organizations in transforming their ways of working, I'm spending time to raise two future leaders in partnership with my wonderful wife. So this is me, that's my profile, and we'll now have a look at the disclaimer. Quick disclaimer before we move on. Everything that we see here will be my own personal views. They do not reflect or are associated with any of my current employer or customers. The purpose is purely community value. The intention is to contribute back to the community for agile aspirants worldwide. There are no commercial affiliations whatsoever. Any trademarks, any copyrights, any vendor brands or logo mentions that you see across, they belong to their respective owners. They are used here for learning purposes only. Although I've tried to use much of the graphics from Creative Commons license, so it should be fine. An ethical agreement with my employer, this I'll have to respectfully decline to comment on any items that are conflicting of interest. For example, getting into any specific transformation details from my employer or client. So now, no hard feelings there, but rest assured that I'll make sure that you get the knowledge and answers that you're looking for today. Now, before starting, let's start actually by doing a quick poll to get to know each other and establish the context right. So if you could please help, select your role, what describes you best. Are you more of an agile coach at the moment, more of a product owner, scrum master, developer, or even others?
The poll is open and you can actually select your responses.
All right, great. So we've got a few agile coaches, a lot more of scrum master. some developers and some, not really into Agile, but maybe want to learn about it. So that's good. And I think we've got the right majority of the audience here, right? So you are here for me and I'm here for you. Let's dive in. Okay. So I wanted to share my own personal journey, starting from the time when I was the Scrum Master and wanted to become an Agile coach. And with this, I hope that I'll be able to help many other Scrum Masters like me who are looking to discover what's next in their career, like Kusum mentioned. And, whether you're wondering that is Agile coaching for you. So this session is also aimed to make that clear today. Or even some people who are clear that they want to move towards being an Agile coach, but need some guidance on what the path looks like, what that journey looks like. And some Agile coaches, which in disguise, I call them, right? Agile coach in disguise, who are actually Scrum Master without actually realizing their full potential. So we'll kind of help you there today as well. Okay. In addition to Scrum Masters, so we've also got 15% Agile coaches here. So this session is also aimed for you because I know that you get asked this question very frequently on how do we become an Agile coach, right? So this session hopefully will give you a nice structure for aspirants who seek you out for help. And of course, anyone else who's curious enough to learn about it will also benefit from the next half an hour. So let me break the good news for you first of all. Okay? You know that you are an Agile coach when you are able to use your experience from one team to help another team solve the same problem. Right? That's how I evolved. That's the first step that you take, no matter how big or small the problem is. Right? That's your evolution moment. Right? It's how as simple as this. That you help someone in one team. Right? You pick the same solution and help another team solve the same problem. That's it. You're already an Agile coach. Congratulations. Okay. And it starts with intention. Okay. You will become an Agile coach the moment you want to become one. Okay. You start noticing opportunities finding you instead of you finding them. Let's assume that there is an Agile coach already at your workplace. Awesome. That's an opportunity to learn from, right? You learn from them, you ask them questions, you model them, you follow their path, and you've got a nice opportunity to get help, right? But what if there's no Agile coach, right? There's no one that you can actually learn from. That's even awesome, even a better opportunity, right? Because then you assume the role, okay? And that's actually how I did it. I was handling my team and helping other teams out until I noticed that, hey, I'm actually needed to play a bigger role. And all it took was, stepping up and asking for it with facts that these are the teams. This is what's wrong in the process. And here's how I can help in streamlining everything. And believe it or not, the Scrum values actually help me push forward. Commitment, courage, focus, openness, respect. Okay? So when you start living up to the Agile values, wonders happen. Yesterday, there was an amazing session on personal agility. And we as Agilists firmly believe that these values work everywhere in every other industry, even in personal lives. So back to the story. I had decided to become an Agile coach. Okay? Now, all I needed was to understand my current state, the targeted state, and the gap. Right? And I realized that a Scrum Master and Agile coach are actually part of the same ecosystem. Okay? You zoom in, you find a Scrum Master. You zoom out, you find an Agile coach. Right? This is how simply they are related. They're part of the same ecosystem. Okay? The transition and growth is absolutely natural, and we'll see how. Okay? But before we do that, let's hear from you in a couple of quick polls. Okay. Number one is, who will help you remove impediment from your sprint?
The poll is open for everyone.
Okay, majority of you agree that it's Scrum Master. Some think it's an Agile coach, product owner, CEO, right? But I think we've got a clear majority winner here, which is Scrum Master. And fortunately, that's the right answer. Okay. Another one. who will help you decide which agile framework to use? Okay, that's even a better majority. 91% agree that it's an agile coach that will help you decide which framework to use. All right, great responses. And you see, this is how simple it is, right? That's about it. That's it. That's what you need to get in, to step into being an agile coach, right? And this was my current role, right, where I started with, and more or less generally what a Scrum Master does. They're more focused on a single team. Most of the cases, and the stance is more of adaptation of Scrum, right, and compliance to the Scrum guide, let's say Scrum ceremonies and the artifacts and the rules and the rules around it, right? Okay, and the Scrum Master is more hands-on into the granular details of product execution, right? The Scrum Master is expected to understand the product goals, okay, and help the team, achieve that with their coaching abilities, right? So there's a bit of coaching stance there. Scrum Master is also expected to promote adaptation of Scrum framework. Okay, and the role is more of a servant leadership stance, right? Now I know that 2020 Scrum Guide have removed the word servant from it, and there's a heavy reason behind it. Okay, but the stance is more or less still the same. That the style of leadership is still the servant leadership. Okay, the reason why they got rid of it was because people started perceiving it more of a servant and less of a leader. So I think that's a good job they did out there to get rid of that term. But the stance is still the same, that you are actually you're leading by example. You're facilitating coaching with your abilities. Okay? So this was what I was doing as a Scrum Master. And then this was my targeted state, that hey, what's an agile coach doing generally, right? And I saw that okay, agile coach is actually coaching, mentoring, and teaching not just Scrum Masters but also agile teams and organizations, right? So it's getting more zoomed out. Okay, an agile coach will not go granular in execution, right? So he will not help you solve your impediments, right? Probably he can give you a guideline across it, but he is not hands-on into that. Okay, that's a Scrum Master's job. And agile coach is more hands-on in broader delivery metrics, right? And how Scrum Master was expected to understand the product goals, and agile coach is expected to understand the organizational goals, right? Scrum is just part of their toolbox alongside other frameworks and techniques. So as a Scrum Master, you are more focused on one framework, which is Scrum. As an Agile coach, you are expected to know a few more, okay, and help teams and organizations decide what's the right appropriate framework to use, right? And the stance is more of contextually aware, right? So a Scrum Master will wear many hats, including coaching, training, and mentoring abilities, right? And the first thing I did was to actually equip myself with different stances and the soft skills that are needed in essentially any leadership role, including the Scrum Master. Strong observation abilities, ability to deal with people, asking the right question, getting things done. So I looked into coaching, mentoring, teaching stances. I started to capitalize on each of those and practice what stance to leverage on what occasion by simply throwing myself on those challenges. Okay? Remember from the Scrum values, courage, openness, me doing this talk is part of the same journey. This might not be the best talk in the world, but until I do it, I won't be able to iterate and improve for the next. And I feel that it's also important to mention that every agile coach have some commonalities and some uniqueness. The only common factor is being that they are all value centric. Okay, everyone will have a different set of skills, different background, different domains, right? And in addition to that, each organization also have different set of expectations with an agile coach. Some will expect more of tech knowledge from you. Some will more of business acumen from you, right? So I didn't really bother much about fitting to every agile coach JD or learning every possible framework in the world. I created my own journey from my current context where I was standing. The next thing I did was to expand my toolbox for agile frameworks. We saw how, as a Scrum Master, you are expected to run sprints. As an agile coach, you are expected to understand the context and use your knowledge to decide on the appropriate solution, which may or may not be Scrum. Okay, it could be very operational, so Kanban could be the way to go. There might be many handoffs in the process, so Lean might be a better fit, or combination of those. For example, personally, I take on a combination of Scrum, XP, Kanban, and Lean for 80% of the cases that I help solve. I also looked into agile, scaled agile frameworks like Nexus, Safe, to learn how different components would interact together for a larger enterprise setup. And guess what? While I was on it, these were actually making me a better Scrum Master as well. You know, I learned how to empower teams better. So that was an absolute win-win situation for me, even as a Scrum Master. Just getting into knowing an agile coach toolbox. Third thing was the technology elements, tools and practices for continuous and seamless delivery. So, you know, things like TFS, Jira, Trello. Now, I have never, personally never used anything except Jira practically, but I know that I'll be able to lead a TFS implementation as well because I have looked into the differences enough. Also to mention about DevOps, CI/CD, I was fortunate enough because I evolved from a technical role, but if your case is different, you're still in the environment, right? You're hearing these terms all around. Just start paying attention to those, and they will all be simplified for you on, you know, what's the value in those tools and practices. One thing, while I say that, must be clear here that you don't have to be an absolute expert in all these technologies. Okay, knowing these tools and practices is sufficient enough to a level that you're able to advise what the thing is and what's the value in doing that thing, right? You don't actually have to do it, right? I love this analogy by Mr. Shantanu Bhattacharya, that as an agile coach, you are not expected to do the push-ups for your team. Okay, you coach your team to build their muscles. Okay? So that's the level your technical acumen should be sufficient enough. Another thing I did was I associated myself with some agile communities, find mentors and connections, and keep an eye on the market trend. You know, at that time it wasn't an easy task, but for you this has already gotten easier with Agile Network India. And besides this, there are also tons of communities online and offline, and all of them are quite agile in themselves, right? And they're quite welcoming. You know, so to just go out, ask questions, look at people asking questions, attempt to solve their problems, right? And that's how you will go. You know, it is said that you know, you are an average of 5 people that you spend the most of your time with. So spend your time with people willing to uplift you in those communities. You know, and talking about 70-20-10 rule for evolving into leadership, right? You know, and this rule says that an individual tends to learn 70% of their knowledge, okay, from challenging experiences, right? So all what we spoke about earlier, okay, is part of that. Okay, so that makes 70%, and the 20% of it is actually coming from the community and the relations you form around your passion. Okay, so it's that important. Now, if 70% of it is coming from challenges, right? 20% of it is coming from community. Guess where's the remaining 10% coming from? Right? That's the learning. Okay? Learning through trainings, reading, coursework. What you see on the screen are my personal favorites, right? So the PMI ACP exam prep, I love that. That gave me an absolute nice toolbox, you know, to work with, right? And then some books that actually help me evolve in my people skill, right? So how to win friends and influence people is my absolute favorite, right? How life works, a very nice book to kind of help you evolve as a coach and understand yourself and others around you better, right? Then this link that I've shared across from Agile Coaching Institute is full of resources. So go on, explore those, right? There's a lot of you know, valuable content out there, whether it's reading, whether it's articles, whether it's videos, right? They're very helpful, right? And then we have these online platforms, right? Coursera, Udemy. So I've done some of courses from Udemy and Coursera as well. Now these is what work for me, right? For you might be a different case. For you, something else may work as well, right? But the key is here that, okay, these are the kind of platform that you can leverage from. And talking about training, whenever you talk about it, the topic of certifications will always come up. And this is my favorite topic to touch upon. Why? Because many people, they ask about it, and mostly they think that this is the only step to be an agile coach. Everything else aside, you just got a certification and that's it. You are an agile coach now, right? Now note that I do not hold any official agile coach certification per se, besides the regular Scrum ones that I use to kickstart my journey as a Scrum Master. But I did learn a lot of that content online and from many people in the industry. So whether you should be going for certifications or not is a matter of personal preference and your situation. But one value that I can highlight is that the curriculum of these certifications, they are structured good enough to expedite your learning process under a single source. So I will actually encourage you to go and explore that content out. Now, whether you need to go and take the exam and the certificate, that depends fully on what kind of organization you're targeting and how much they value certification. Personally, I've experienced both scenarios, right? So on one hand, I've met many agile coaches without a single agile certification, not even a Scrum certification, okay? And they're absolutely cracking in the industry, okay? Some of them are even my mentors here. And on the other hand, I've also met with people with tons of certifications, but unfortunately having no idea of what they're doing, right? So what's important for you. Personally, I would always value knowledge and experience over certifications alone, but I'd rather not make this controversial here and leave the choice open for you. So I was already on level 1 of agile coaching under my Scrum Master, right? You all are, all of the 70% Scrum Master that we have here, right? You're already a level 1 agile coach. Okay. And trust me, today's top leaders, talking about Ken Schwaber, Jeff Sutherland, Martin Fowler, they all started from here, right? And with all of these approaches that I touched upon, I was able to push myself to level 2. Of course, I made many mistakes on the go. I must admit I made silly mistakes, like something as simple as associating the story points with number of days. But the key here is that I learned from them. And each time I consulted a new client or transformed a new team, it kept adding to my learning process and confidence. Okay, you must remember that no transformation is smooth, including agile transformation or your own career transformation. The key is in assuming the role. Okay, being agile about it. You will make mistakes and you will learn from them, but you will only learn if you do make those mistakes, right? So you get down, you get up, and you repeat. You will learn that it's common to be carried away on existing culture. So you will learn how to be clear on the fine line to push for change. Watch out for any agile anti-patterns, Scrum butts, for example, right? After many iterations, I can now have a look at a single delivery report and can tell everything going wrong in the organization now, right? And what could potentially fix it. This comes from falling down, getting up, and continuous learning process. You will get into challenges like, for example, leadership is very eager for quick transformation, right? So how do you set the expectation right is something that you will learn gradually and continually. Okay, so to recap, the elements for my journey as a Scrum Master to an Agile coach were these, wearing, understanding the different hats that an Agile coach wears. Okay, what are those competency elements that are needed, right? Expanding my toolbox beyond just Scrum. So got hands-on onto Lean, XP, Kanban, and a few more. Okay, so build a wide range of toolbox for you. Now, which framework to go for is your choice. Again, depending on what situation are you on and the framework that you are about to learn, how can that solve your current context? Okay. Then technology acumen. Remember, it's sufficient at the value understanding part, and you're able to articulate it well. It's sufficient enough. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to implement those solutions, but you just need to understand the right value in those solutions, right? So you're able to coach your teams to do better in there, right? Become part of agile communities. There are tons of communities out there. Ask anything in those communities, anything at all. Don't be shy. Observe others asking some questions. You learn from them as well, and attempt to help them, right? So even if you're giving out the wrong answer, right, the community is going to help you in there, right? They will build upon your thoughts. Okay, and you never know, you might be having great ideas in your mind. It's just a matter of building those muscles for your own self, right? learn through many sources. Okay, read books, articles, see what courses are best for you. There, within in this online era, there's tons of even free options out there, right? Again, coming back to the intention part, it starts from intention. The moment you know what you need to do and you're firm on it, right? These things will start coming in front of you automatically, right? Okay. We touched upon certification. And my stance here is that yes, the certifications do provide you a structured content for rapid learning. Okay, now whether you should go for a certification or not, it depends, right? So you decide what's the right call there. Look around in the industry, look the jobs you're aiming for, are they really looking for certifications, right? Okay, and then throw yourself in those challenges. That will help you continuously evolve. And if you notice, I use picture of children in almost all my slides. Okay, and there's a conscious reason behind it. For learning anything, I take children as inspiration. Okay, because they don't have a tendency to give up like us adults do. We tend to create boundaries in our heads, and children don't. Their curiosity, as it's always at the peak, and they're not scared to fall down. They get up, they get back to it again until they get what they're trying to acquire, right? So always remember the crawl, walk, and run analogy. For the best of the best, it started with not knowing anything about the game at first. Okay, so remember that. With this, we come to the conclusion of the talk. Wish you a very successful journey, and the floor is now open for questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. That was really very, decent session today. And I think we also have a couple of questions on the chat, so I'll help you with the questions. So the first question that we have is, framework provides guideline actual process would be adopted from the guideline suiting the work environment. Coaching is spread in different roles of the organization to guide the project team to reach the goal of delivering value. I'm not sure if this is a question or is this a statement. If you could probably summarize your question and post it again, Rakesh, it would be really good for Apsar to take up this question. While you post the question, I'll move on to the other one. What is a typical timeline for a Scrum Master to transit towards Agile Coach, if not opting for certification-based journey?
Okay, okay. This is a very good question by Rohit here, and I noticed him asking a very good question yesterday as well. So, okay, a typical timeline for a Scrum Master to transit towards an Agile Coach, if not opting for certification-based journey. Okay, there's no fixed timeline here. I must say, I can't say that you will be an Agile Coach in one iteration or 2 or 6 or 10 for that, right? It all depends on what kind of context you are in, right? How fast your team is moving into continuous evolution, right? So without certification, if you are still looking into the other aspects that learning, you're involving yourself in community, right? You have formed yourself across certain mentors who are helping you in there, then that process gets speed up. Okay, but if you're just sticking to your team and that particular experience, then it's going to take a while, I must say, right? How much, I can't really be very specific in the number out there, right? And if you're doing the same kind of iteration, right, same sprint, so your continuous improvement process is fixed there, right? That your velocity is not consistent all across, be it 5 sprints, 10 sprints, or 10, 10 sprints. Your retrospectives are bringing on the same kind of problems. Then I must say that that's a kind of a challenging situation to deal with, right? But if you do see improvements, right, that becomes, with each improvement your team is getting, right, you are adding a badge on your profile, right? So the moment you make your velocity consistent, right, that's a badge on your profile that you help your team become consistent on velocity metrics, for example, right? Or getting the stand-ups time box well, that the team is able to start and finish on time, right? These things take a bit of struggle initially, right? So the moment you feel that your team is also moving towards maturity, then you know already that how you have helped them gone there, right? So you can decide on that point that, hey, I've made enough improvements in there, right? My team is mature enough in Agile, right? So I can go on and start helping other teams in there. Hope that clears up.
Thank you, Apsar. I guess, yeah, absolutely. There's no such timeline that we can stick to. It all depends on how we are progressing in terms of the journey that we are making towards Agile Coach. Thank you. There is another question. What are the different challenges you see between a Scrum Master and an Agile Coach? Upsir?
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I think my internet was bad, but you broke up for a while, but I think I see the question here. What are the different challenges you see between a Scrum Master and Agile Coach role? Okay, that's a good one. The categories of challenges are kind of different, right? Both roles are challenging in there, right? Scrum Master have its own challenges and Agile Coach have its own challenges, right? The key here is that, you have different people and different situations to deal with, right? As a Scrum Master, you're actually dealing with your development team, right? You're dealing with your product owner, right? You're trying to instill the Agile mindset into them, right? You're trying to help them on a value focus, right? Help them better prioritize and all of this, right? And that's on a Scrum Master level. As an Agile Coach, you deal with a different set of people, right? Yes, you do still deal with teams. You still deal with the product owner. You also deal with the Scrum Masters as an Agile Coach, right? And then you have to deal with the leadership in the organization, right? And then, because you're looking at the organizational level agility, right? So it's an entirely different ball game, right? Being in the context of one team versus being in the context of organization, how the teams are structured, what the performance measurement for an agile team looks like. Okay, how should the company look into a product? The product line from a value perspective rather an operational perspective, right? Instilling this mindset on why everyone does what they do, right? So this is all challenging, right? Everything comes with a lot of change management, risk management, people's behavior and responses to change, right? So challenges are there for both roles, right? It's just different people to deal with and different problems to solve. That being said, when you learn solving those problems and dealing with people in your Scrum Master role, right, you automatically are capable of solving them at Agile Coach role as well, right? There are challenges on Agile Coach journey as well, right? But it's just that you level up.
Yes, Upsir, definitely. I think the span of coaching differs for a Scrum Master and an Agile Coach, which is really something that we can kind of watch out for. All right, we have very interesting question, Upsir. Sanjay says he's at crossroads, and now he needs to take a decision to move from a Scrum Master to an Agile Coach, but the client looks like they do not respect that much for an Agile Coach. But the model is to use the Scrum Master as an Agile Coach. So what he should be doing at this moment?
Okay, so that's an absolutely fantastic opportunity that Sanjay have, isn't it? Right? Why? Because the organization is actually expecting him to be an Agile Coach, right? So they're for any reason, it could be right budget problems or their own understanding of Agile, right? But then they're throwing him into this challenge, isn't it? That you're a Scrum Master, but you also are an Agile Coach. So you don't just help your team, but also help other teams and probably try and be an Agile catalyst across the organization. So that already makes you an Agile Coach, right? And go ahead, throw yourself into this. Okay, start making achievements, and then wear those achievements as your badge, right? And then go on and make a transition. Okay. Now, if you're talking about making a transition in the sense of should I leave my job and join another company because my company doesn't respect me as an Agile Coach much, right? That's for you to decide, right? Depending on what kind of atmosphere is there. But I would say if the atmosphere is there for learning and growth and throwing you into challenging opportunities, avail it, learn from it, right? And then you decide that what's a better time to make the transition, right? Personally, in my own career, whenever I thought of making the transitions, right, before actually making it, I started going out and interviewing with companies because that also made me realize my gaps. Okay, so probably that's something that also can help you, that before you actually make the transition, validate yourself. Actually, are you able and are you ready to make the transition first of all?
Okay, thank you, Upsir. And I think Sanjay also wants to ask if for the long term, if he has to think about this Agile Coach, is the role redundant?
Okay, that's a very interesting question to touch upon, right? Because that's my favorite as well, and a dilemma that all of us as Agile coaches go through, right? Because as a Scrum Master, yes, that's kind of a permanent role. Product lines are longer and more longer run, right? And the Scrum Master is expected to continue driving that journey throughout the end. And one product ends, another comes up, and you're there on a permanent role, right? While an Agile coach, how long would you stay and how long do you need to coach the team, right? 1 year, 2 years maximum, and then what, right? So I would say it comes with risk and reward, definitely. There are enterprises out there that do understand and value this thought process that, having a coach permanently is something value, right? And, uh, they position coach as, important of being there all the time, because what happens is that when the moment the coach goes away, right, the team starts giving up on those habits, right? And then there's no one to point those out. Okay, so it totally depends on the organization, but yes, generally in the industry, it is like this, that most of the agile coach roles that I have also seen are based on contract. But again, measure the risk and reward, right? Then getting into the specifics of payrolls and what kind of challenge are you helping solve in the industry, right? Whether it's a team level or at a bigger enterprise level. So what makes it satisfying for you is what matters most. You will find permanent opportunities and you will find contract opportunities depending on the organization. So what I personally value at the end of the day is that how fulfilling is my current day at the job, right? Did I change anything today? Did I improve anything today, right? That's about it. If I'm look, if I'm the best in my game, okay, I will not care about employment. They will just come for me, right? That's how I see it, right? So start doing your best. Okay, I totally believe in karma. Okay, it comes back to you. Okay, so just contribute your best, do your best, and you will not have to worry about unemployment if your question is in that direction.
Absolutely. And I think it's $1 million question, isn't it? But then, yeah, it's all about perception, right? How you're going to perceive these things. Well, let's move on to the other one. Okay, as an agile coach, Gaurav asked this question. As an agile coach, how to evaluate that the decision taken on the agile methodology selected for the team is correct?
Okay, good question, Gaurav. How to evaluate that the decision taking on the agile methodology is correct. Okay, and look, there is never a right or wrong methodology, I would say, right? All the agile frameworks actually exist to help you, bring those metrics in, right? They help you deliver faster, so and your time to market gets improved, right? They help you in some sort of discipline, right? So your focus is there, right? They help you identify and spot opportunities to remove waste, right? So every framework, in a way, right, is helping you solve some problem, right? So any framework you go for will bring some value. Okay. Now, whether it's right or wrong framework is never the case, right? It's always a framework that we tried, okay, we tested, okay, and did it work for us or not? And if not, why did it not for us, right? That's the question to ask, right? And then you might look for alternates, okay. That being said, I think what I have seen right now in the industry so far is that 80% will go for pure Scrum, okay. That's because it's easy, the best framework to kind of transform a waterfall team into agile to begin with, right? But as you go, you will see that every framework will have to touch upon the other, right? So we spoke about XP, DevOps, and those things, right? Lot of Scrum teams. So like I said, that 80% teams are on Scrum, right? And from those 80%, I have seen 90% of them actually making a combination, right? That nowadays every agile team is doing CI and CD, right? Scrum doesn't ask you to do CI and CD, okay? But it's coming from another framework, okay? So I see it like this, okay? And there's no one size fits all. There's no fixed framework that will work out in a context. So you always have to this evaluation and decision making that you talk about. It's not a one-time process. It's a continuous evolution process. Okay, you retrospect every time, not just in the teams, but in a bigger matrix. That is this process overall working for us. Okay, so that's a continuous evolution process. There's no fixed answer to it that I did it, I evaluated it, didn't work out for us. No, I did it, I evaluated it. These things work for me, these things don't. So how can I make them better in the next time? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about inspection and adaptation, isn't it? Agile is all about that. Okay, so Rakesh asks another question about the SWOT analysis. Do we really have to use this analysis to validate oneself before jumping onto the role that one is aspiring for?
Very good question, Rakesh. And I would personally agree with this, right? SWOT is, not really about validating yourself, but it's about knowing your own self, right? Where do I stand? Okay. And how do I foresee it? It will help you kind of navigate across your situation and challenges, right? SWOT is not the only tool available out there. There are many other tools to help you there, right? But I feel that yes, SWOT is the most common, and personally, SWOT has helped me as well, in an individual capacity, as well as helping teams. This tool have come in to make them realize things in a better dimension.
Okay. Well, Karan has a very interesting question because he's from finance and accounts team and he doesn't know any technology. And he's working with the IT companies for the past 3 years. And he recently got into an agile team. I think he's an agile team member. So he wanted to explore agility things more. So he is asking for your guidance.
Okay, excellent. And I'm glad to be here and help these people in this situation, right? So let me read his question again. Hi, I'm working with IT companies since last 3 years. Okay, so the background is IT, right? And I was awarded as the agile team member by current company. Okay, so probably some involvement in agile here already, right? Now I want to explore the agility things in my area. Okay, can you please? Okay, I'm from finance and accounts team. I don't know any technology, so this is good, right? So to start with, Karan, I think a good way for you to begin with will be one of these two, right? Either you start evolving yourself as a Scrum Master, right, or as a product owner, okay? Because your background is coming from finance and accounts, right? You have used a lot of financial and accounts related products as well, right? And you have seen how those products are helping your company in there, right? And probably because of being in those teams, right, you're able to see the ongoing projects in your organization from a different lens, okay, and how those products are bringing value for you, right? So that to me will be a more relevant direction for you to explore, that owning products, okay, maximizing the ROI in those products, right? Of course in an agile context, right? But then again, absolutely your choice whether you want to explore product domains or not, right? If not, then Scrum Master is also your way to go, which essentially does not need any IT background per se, right? All it needs is to understand agile, the values agile bring, right? The framework of Scrum, okay, and then how do you help teams, neutrally, regardless of your non-IT background. And I've seen, by the way, many Scrum Master who are absolutely perfect coaches, and help the teams grow absolutely in the best direction possible, and they have exactly zero knowledge of IT, right? They just are Scrum guys, okay. So both of you, both of the choices for you, right? And you can always get in touch with me later on to kind of drag this conversation more.
Thank you. Yesha has a question. What are the success parameters an agile coach can use to measure the transformation journey success?
Excellent question. Very good question, right? What are the success parameters? There are many, many different sort of metrics available out there, many different sort of tools available out there. So I saw an agile maturity assessment toolkit somewhere. I don't remember the source, right? Talking about DevOps, there's a DevOps maturity framework by Adidas, and many other people who are contributing back to the industry, right? But personally, I've never used any particular set of parameters in full, right? Because I start with the simplest and the common one, right? Time to market. What's your time to market? Okay. Then your cycle time, your lead time, right? Then talk about implementing agile in teams, right? And those metrics talk about burn downs. Okay, velocity. Is your velocity consistent across or not? Okay, so those general agile metrics are there, right? And let's say you understand the Scrum framework very well, right? So Scrum framework itself, right? Scrum Guide says that it's simpler and easier to understand, but hard to implement and follow, right? So your initial success parameter will become the Scrum Guide itself. That are your meetings time boxed well? Is the team focused well? Okay, are you doing all the events or not, right? Many NT patterns out there. Teams choose to skip meetings, right? Teams choose to skip retrospective, right? Then your job becomes as a coach to not only spot what's happening wrong, right, but also to set the course back to the track. Okay, and those to me are the initial success parameters, right, in agile specifics. And then there are those organizational parameters on how the company is allocating budget based on the value and whatnot, right? So there are many parameters out there depending on the context of your organization. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's completely organization specific, Absar. Next question is actually about measuring the maturity of a Scrum team. How do we measure the maturity of a Scrum team being a Scrum Master? Is there any way to do that?
Yes, many ways, right? Like I said in my previous answer as well, the Scrum Guide is your reference of the maturity, right? And every iteration, right? When you do retrospectives, they also become an indicator of maturity, right? Are the team's improvement, right? Your job as a Scrum Master is to take your team on a evolution journey, right? On continuous improvement journey, right? So the moment you spot that teams are not improving or not acknowledging what's happening wrong, right? You already know that the maturity level is not good enough, right? The moment you notice teams taking shortcuts instead of focusing on the right value and quality, right? You know that the maturity level is not there, right? And again, around that, you can create your own metrics that, okay, for me, how do I define success? Okay, if 80% of my stand-ups started on finished on time, okay, that's level 1 for me. Okay, if 90% is level 2 for me, right? If my 100% stand-ups are happening on time, right? I am mature in that area. Okay, then in the product demos, okay, is my team planning upon up to their capacity or not, right? Are we over planning? Are we under planning? Are the demos successful or not? Is the product owner accepting those or not, right? So you can literally extract these elements out of the Scrum Guide and make your own metrics depending on your context.
Okay. And the other question is about how a Scrum Master can properly manage between the top management, which is with respect to customer, and as well as Scrum team. How do they really balance?
Okay, that's an interesting question, right? How can we properly manage top management with respect to customer as well as Scrum team? Yeah, I get this question very frequently enough, right? How do we, this question is essentially camouflage in a way that how do I make people understand me, right? And my and the fact that I'm bringing on the table, right? And that's with data, okay, facts, right? For a Scrum team, of course, you have those velocity metrics, right? That, hey guys, this is our planning looking like, right? This is our data showing that, okay, burn down, for example, okay, that burn down is off track right now, which means that we need to really do something to get in control and acknowledge whether we overplanned or we underplanned or some exceptions happen, right? So that data helps you there, right? Same goes for top management, right? You speak to them with data, and Scrum actually helps you bring that data, isn't it? That every iteration you're adding some value, right? What kind of value do you create, right? So then you have this data that, hey, from the past 4 iterations, our focus have only been in something that's probably less important to customers, right? Here's the customer survey, right? Customer values X more, but we are doing Y, right? So and top management, they like facts, right? You talk to them in the air, they will talk you in the air and make you down, okay? But you talk to them with data, with the truth, right? They will respect you, they will acknowledge you, right? And they will kind of listen to your recommendation, okay? So data is the one word answer if I have to for this question.
Absolutely, data and facts, very important. All right, the last question. All right, hold on. Khalil says, now asks, how much agile knowledge is good for a developer?
How much agile?
Absar,
very
can
good
you hear
question.
me?
Yeah. I think there's a bit of lag, but can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. I think as much as possible. That's what I can think of. That for a developer, it's sufficient to if a developer have to understand one word for an agile, that's value. Okay, understanding what I'm doing, why am I doing it, right? What's the value behind it? The line of code that I'm writing right now, how is it making an impact on my customer's life, right? How is it making his life easier? How is it maximizing their revenues, for example, right? So knowing and understanding the value of what you're doing, right, is sufficient enough that you need to learn as a developer and being agile. Okay, everything else, I think that's something that you will already learn on the go. The moment your teams transform into Scrum, okay. Other than Scrum Master, and that's also a parameter for a good Scrum Master, right? That he will instill a Scrum Master in each of you, each of the development team. Okay, he will teach you Scrum so well that you understand Agile fully, right? So I would say not worrying much about that part. Okay, but understanding why we are doing and then taking decisions according to that. That, well, you know, I'm not doing this line of code because my boss have asked me to do that, right? But rather changing that mindset to, you know, I'm doing this because it's making a difference in the world. Okay, at a personal level to my customer, or at a community level, or at a global level, right? That's how agile you need to be. If that clarifies.
Thank you. We can take, I know we are on top of the hour, but just one last question. How to deal with the situation when the product owner doesn't turn up or show up when the team needs him or her?
Okay, so that's the Scrum Master's job, right? To make sure that, you know, like we touched upon the role of Scrum Master, that he would help remove impediments, right? And this situation is an impediment that, you know, the team needs some sort of clarification, right? And the product owner is not available for clarification. There may be many reasons behind it, right? I'm not saying that there's a bad product owner out there, right? He must be having tons of things to deal with, right? So understanding their issues as well. You know, he must be busy out with the customers, which is more important for them, right? For example. Okay. But that being said, I think also Scrum Master's part to first of all, make sure that the value of Scrum is instilled not just in development team. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen, that Scrum Masters tend to work more with their teams and less with the product owner, and sometimes create an, you know, us versus them mentality. That shouldn't exist, right? So Scrum Master also have to kind of work hand in hand with the product owner, get them in the loop, right? Make both as one team, right? And then work out the situation. Hey, in the retrospective, the team highlights that, hey, I needed this clarification at this and this point. Okay, and the PO was not available, therefore the feature was delayed by 2 days or 3 days, right? So again, data and facts, right? When we have these facts, right, I can't think of any product owner for which this fact will not make sense, and he will try think for alternates, right? He might say that, hey, you can ping me on chat if I'm not on call, or, you know, or I nominate someone else to take those decisions on my behalf, or, you know, let's clarify these, you know, if you need me during the sprint, that means you are probably not doing our backlog grooming very well, right? So let's make sure that those requirements are well defined and well enough provided during those grooming sessions, right? A lot of possibilities out there, right? So yes, that becomes the Scrum Master's job to find out the right pattern there and the right solution there.
Thank you, Upsir. Thank you so much. I think we're actually done with all of our questions, and it was really a wonderful session. You know, I'm sure the Scrum Masters who have joined us will be able to really take away some key important aspects, right? And thank you for touching upon all the aspects, and it will be really helpful for them to pave a path for themselves towards, you know, starting a journey, or if they're really good enough, they can always, you know, look forward for the coach. And definitely for the coaches who can actually guide the Scrum Masters who come to them, you know, asking about these questions. It was really wonderful session, Upsir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you. And before I leave, I must mention some credit, which is due, if I have like 20 seconds. This session is not an individual effort, right? So thank you, Kronal, for bringing me in the community, Prakash, and all the organizers for their effort, right? And a big thanks to Santanu and Kulsum for helping groom this session. Thanks, Rohit, if you're listening, for your mentorship, and thanks everyone for attending, and I wish you a great day ahead.